everybody, and welcome back to From This Corner TV. I'm Marilyn, Dayton, your host and your producer, and we've got a very special show for you tonight. We've got another event that's going to be taking place in our area. And remember, we're not here just to entertain you, but we're also here to educate you and talk about things that are interesting. And we're going to be doing a little bit of all of that tonight. There's an event coming up that's called the Sales Up for Cancer Annual Regatta Event and Wellness Expo. It's a little bit different this year than it was last year, and we're going to be talking about that. And the event is going to be on June 20th. So what you need to do is you need to get out your calendar right now, get out your pen, and write it down. Mark that day all off, okay? And we're going to be giving you the schedule of events, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the history of the event, why the event is taking place, what's going to happen, so that you can take paper and pencil or pen and write down which things you want to do, okay? So we have with us Bob Davis. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you very much.
And Jamie Lee is back with us. She hasn't been with us for about a year and a half or so. Welcome back.
I know, I can't believe it's been that long.
I know. It seems like last month. Not yesterday.
Time flies.
Month. Yes, it does. It does. So, okay, let's talk. Bob, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk to Jamie first because, well, we have your daughter in the other room, and she's not feeling too good, so.
And ladies go first, right?
And ladies go first.
Absolutely.
Yes, that explains that. So, Jamie, how did you get involved with this event?
Well, actually, I've done the Sales Up for Cancer for several years. I did it a few years back, then got pulled away, and then got pulled back in, and so I've been doing it a couple years. Bob contacted me and said, Jamie, can you coordinate the wellness? He had somebody else coordinating it. I'll let him talk a little bit about that if he wants to get into that. But fortunately, I was able to kind of step in this year. We got a jump start on it, so that was great. That way, you know, we weren't kind of, in the past we were, I think, struggling last minute to get things going, but this year we've had a jump start on it, and it's great. We've got a lot of vendors coming, so I think it'd be great for the public to come out and see what we've got going for the Wellness Expo, and also the Regatta, of course, but the Wellness Expo is kind of my piece of it.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk about, because last year it wasn't held the same day. It was held the day after, and it was not as successful as people wanted it to be.
Because all the people were hung over from the Regatta.
Well, yeah, of course.
Good part of it.
Yeah, you know, but again, you know, this gives us a chance to really get involved, and Bob's going to talk more about this, but the Sunshine Kids will be there, and a lot of the families and things like that. So it's really good that we're actually doing it on the same day, so that way they can enjoy some of the activities that go on that day. Because it's a lot when they did the Regatta on a different day, because it was a very filled day, and it's exhausting emotionally and physically.
And you had to be there both days. That's a lot, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, it's the least I could do for our cause as the founder and CEO. But I think that the venue that Jamie and some other people and have a plan for Saturday is just going to be off the charts. I don't want get too much into detail because I'd like to have Jamie explain it. But we're having a lot of the vendors in pop-up tents around the big tents. Usually, what we did was we would have the event and break everything down, or have the event like we did on Sunday, and everybody would be harried. Okay, now these vendors can come in with like 10 o'clock, I think, 10 a.m. on Saturday, and set up their kiosk in a little pop-up tent around the perimeter. And how many vendors were we at?
We are looking at about 20.
Okay.
So we're going to have multiple massage therapists, multiple people doing Reiki, doing cranial sacral, acupuncture, yoga. We've got a great person coming in who's going to be doing hula hooping, which the kids are going to love doing that.
Wow, yeah. What do you mean kids?
That's true, yes.
That's pretty good.
All right, yeah, I challenge all the adults to come out and put on a hula hoop.
Yeah. So you've got, but you're going to also display, correct?
Yep, our center, the New London Healing Arts Center, will be there. We've got several practitioners that participate in that. We've got Everything Zen coming. We've got some chiropractors coming. And even food. We got somebody who's coming and making smoothies, so you're going to want to come and try that.
Yeah.
We got banana strawberry smoothies, and I think a couple of other different ones. We've even got No Wank Nibbles is coming with some tasty treats. So I mean, there's going to be
nibbles. Ooh,
I know. Don't you love that name?
Really good. I do.
So, you know, and again, I don't want to give away too much of what we're doing because you guys got to come and be surprised and just experience it. Yeah.
So what time do they need to come for the Wellness Expo portion of it?
We've got several people coming and setting up at 10. Some are coming a little bit later. So it's really kind of dependent upon, you know, if people have time in the morning, please come. If you've got time in the afternoon, come, you know, whenever throughout the day. We're going to be there well into the afternoon. So,
okay, okay. Tell us a little bit. Now, we haven't seen you in a year and a half, and a lot has changed with you. I mean,
I'm still blonde.
Yes, that's true. That's true. You still look great.
Oh, thank you.
But now you've taken over more of the area in New London, right? You've got a store now?
Well, no, actually, we combined the store into the center now. So we still have the New London location and we have the Groton location, but kind of combined things just because it was getting too hard to manage, you know. You know, so it was just better to kind of start to combine things. But we are starting to take over the second floor in our New London building, so that's kind of nice.
That is nice.
I know,
that's
right?
Great. Yes. And I don't know if you just had that up, Frank, but that's her information. Tell us, now you're a doctor of natural...
Yep, I'm considered a DNM, a doctor of natural medicine. I also just finished some additional schooling that I'm kind of pursuing, which is getting more involved in the integrative medicine, so an IMD, which is great because it works very well with what we're doing, which is complementary therapies. We talk a lot about that as part of the Wellness Expo because, again, people going through cancer, it's very important that they complement those therapies, whether it's getting massage or Reiki or craniosacral. It's hard when you're going through any conventional treatment, and there's things that can actually help the conventional treatment, even when people are going through cancer. I mean, and again, they can work with their doctors, but certain supplements actually help cancer treatments. Certain oils can help cancer treatments that they're going through with the chemo and things like that, make it work better, help with side effects. You know, the nausea is a big one. And I know Bob can talk a little bit about that when we get to him.
Yes, can, yeah.
When it's your turn.
Yes. Right. It's okay. I'm nice to hear you talk a little. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too, still doing thermography, because that's why you were on the show before.
Yes, and that's being done out of Dr. Barnett's office, and he's actually going to be one of our vendors too.
Wow.
And that's in Groton.
Yep,
He's in Groton.
It's in our Groton office, and he has some physical therapy people there, and I think he's going to be bringing them, so they work a lot with, you know, again, physical therapy, massage, and that sort of thing. And I just got done talking to Holly. I was telling you that before I came here. So she's got some great people coming. Herbs,
she does.
herbalists.
Yeah, I think Lena is probably coming.
I don't know. She didn't mention the name. She just said, I have somebody who does this. And I'm like, bring them.
Yeah, I think that's probably Lena. She has an herb farm. And
nice.
she also does yoga
Nice.
and that kind of thing.
Very
she's
It's
gonna
amazing. Yeah.
She is going to love talking to we have a certified master herbalist, Farah, so they're going to get along great.
Oh,
and she's going to probably want to come to her herb farm.
Absolutely. And Lena's very interesting, very knowledgeable. And I was talking to her earlier today trying to get a time when she's not teaching yoga, when she's not doing this and not doing that, so I can get her on the show.
Oh, yes.
Because she's very, very interesting. So it sounds like you're really, really going to have some great vendors there.
Yes, we are.
And
like
I know
said,
last year you had quite a few really interesting ones, and
We
I
did.
enjoyed that.
yeah, we did. And again, having it on the separate days really did make it a little bit difficult as far as getting the public out there, you know, again, and sometimes I think also we didn't really advertise much that it was really open to the public. A lot of people, I think they saw Sales Up for Cancer, thought of the regatta and thought, oh, I have to be participating in the regatta to come. So we're really doing a lot to say, hey, this is open to the public. Come down, bring your kids, bring your family, you know, just come and support a great organization.
And you know, it does make sense to have, people are probably watching, they'll say, okay, they've got a regatta going, and it's to benefit cancer, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a few minutes. Why are they also having a wellness expo? The reason they're having it is because complementary medicine is very, very important. And the more we get that word out, the more you meet these vendors and realize they're very knowledgeable, very capable, and they'll be happy to work with your doctor and work together to make things easier for anyone that's sick with cancer or any other kind of disease.
You're absolutely right. Cancer or any other disease is not just a physical thing that you address. You need to look at the whole body, because again, when you get that diagnosis, as doctor says, you know, look, you've got cancer. I mean, you just imagine everything that must go through. The spirit, their spirit, all of a sudden, you know, oh my gosh, you know, the emotions that start to factor in. And then those things are going to actually cause additional issues physically. So now you're dealing with the physical issue of cancer, but all of those other things that go on top of it. And it's really, I mean, and then you think about the stress. Okay, now the body's under stress, and you know, so it's really important to complement. And that's what we used to be called CAMX, and we thought that was really going to catch on, but a lot of people didn't know what CAMX was. Who was it that said it sounded like boot camp?
A lot of people. Yeah, I know.
So you know, so it's important that people, you know, work with their doctors on what they're doing for the cancer or any sort of treatment, but then also make sure that they're doing other things, you know, to handle the stress and the emotions and keep their spirits up. You know, and there's so many different ways, and we'll talk about that. Come to the Wellness Expo. We'll have people who will be talking about all those different things that they could be doing and working with their doctors. And again, these people are very capable of working with their doctor to make sure that they get treated.
And I've also noticed that the medical community is more open to this type of complementary medicine.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because I've had nurses and doctors tell me, when they hear that I do Reiki, they're like, after we're done here, I'd like to come and get some Reiki from you. So, you know, because it's, you know, it's very stressful being in the medical field, whether you're a nurse, a doctor, or anybody. They have a huge amount of stress, you know, working enormous amount of hours. So they're under a lot of stress, you know, just from work. And again, you know, even doctors agree with this. Stress can lead to disease because you just can't keep running your body.
That's true. I know. I hear that all the time. Friends and family.
Right.
You know, get your rest and all that kind of stuff. But I don't plan to slow down yet. Anyway, Bob, I know it's not that we've been ignoring you or anything, but we wanted to make sure we talked about the wellness in case she does have to leave. Hopefully you'll be able to stay around for the whole show.
I hope so too, yeah.
So I want to go take a step back for a minute and ask you, when did this whole idea for the Regatta and to benefit cancer, when did all this start?
Well, Sales Up for Cancer started about 5 years ago, when I was diagnosed with my second cancer, which was esophageal cancer. And prior to that, I had been diagnosed with leukemia, chronic leukemia. And when I was diagnosed with leukemia, I became very active with the Leukemia Society. Became a fundraiser, became a chairperson, you know, got involved in sailing and Mystic, made a lot of friends. And with the second cancer, we weren't doing anything for the Leukemia Society anymore. So I figured I wanted to do something to give back because I've been so fortunate. So I said, why not do, you know, my own thing, you know, and be like not answering to anybody and also deciding where the money was going to go, as opposed to just giving it to one huge organization, you know, that had facilities all over the country. So I spoke with a doctor friend of mine. I had the idea and I shared it with him, and you know, then it, you know, it got off the ground, and then we, you know, formed a board, became a 501c3, and the fact that I love to sail, and that's what we did with the Leukemia Society, was sailing and had regattas. So I really mirrored it off of that, and hence called it Sales Up for Cancer. And the part that we're talking about now with Jamie. While I was going through, when I started with leukemia, which is like 10 years ago, I wasn't going through treatment, but the diagnosis and the prognosis was just so upsetting that I knew I had to do something to like alleviate that stress. And I got into you know, nutrition, diet. I got into I always I had massages, so I was always in massage therapy. I did yoga. I began meditating more than I did when I was in the 60s and the 70s. Excuse me. And I could really feel the benefits of it. And then, you know, fast forward to when I had esophageal cancer, I believe that a lot of that integrated, complementary, you know, modalities to reduce the stress, you know, help me physically and mentally and emotionally, had a lot to do with my eventual NED, what's the, remission, if you will. NED stands for no evidence of disease. And I was fortunate. So here I had, you know, the 2 cancers, and one I was living with, and then the other one, which was a real, real horror. Esophageal cancer is the beast, as they call it. And I came out of that and remission with that. So, you know, and now it's like, you know, let's share this, you know, thing, you know, with other people, and let's be there for other people, and let's do what we can for other people. So, you know, hence, you know, we formed it, and I think we got a great group of people.
We do.
And I got a great board and a lot of nice volunteers, and I live in a great community, and you know, I'm really proud of everything we're doing.
It seems like we live in a sailing community.
Doesn't seem, it's a fact.
Of course, we're surrounded by water here, so that makes sense. But you know, there's all of these sailing events that are going on between you know, Newport and here and to the west of us. It's just a natural thing to tie in sailing, it seems like.
Right. Well, and also as a result of that, see, that's our niche, you know, with the sailing community. Right? But you know, of course, it's open to everyone. But our niche is the sailing community, and one of my aspirations with the Sails Up for Cancer is to expand the whole concept and get more sailing communities, let's say, hypothetically, like Newport. And the business model that I'm proposing is, as I said earlier, you know, Newport can do a regatta for the Leukemia Society and hand them the money. With the Sails Up for Cancer, Sails Up for Cancer will put all of the ingredients together, put it in all of the kettle, work with the organization, the sailing organization, to pull off the regatta party, the fundraising, the program book, the entertainment, the silent auction, all of those ingredients. And then when the money comes in and it's all transparent, that organization decides where they want the money to go. See, so in other words, we would have, like, in other words, if it was for an individual that was, you know, going through some severe financial hardship, then that particular sailing organization could say, well, we would like it to go to John Smith, who's suffering from brain cancer, and if they raise $10,000, or netted $10,000, 80% or 85% of the money would go to John Smith, and 15% would come back to Sails Up for Cancer, so that we could expand and do it in other places. So that organization would actually decide who they wanted to raise the funds for, as opposed to going directly to, like, you know, Susan G. Komen or the Leukemia Society or the American Cancer Society. And that's not to say that those are, you know, not great, you know, organizations and with what they do, but I think that having a more personal investment in what you're doing to fundraise, you know, works a lot better. And I hope, you know, in the next year or two, I think we're going to be off and running with something like that. Yeah.
And I think that's great, because some of the problems with taking some of the money and then giving it to a large established organization is that a portion of that money is not going to go to what you want it to go to.
Correct.
So you want 100% of the net that you set aside to go to some cause, whether it be, you know, children with cancer or someone who needs help. You know that 100% of what you set aside is going to actually go to that need. Because, you know, that's what a lot of people have been experiencing.
Well, see, that's, well, if I may, what Jamie had alluded to earlier about, you know, in our community and actually helping the people and the individual. What we've done now is we set aside a portion of our money, okay, for the institutions. We donate to our L&M Dana-Farber hospital right here in Waterford. We donate to the hospice of Southeast Connecticut, the visiting nurses. Now what we're doing is we have a grant process where individuals, okay, in the southeastern Connecticut, western Rhode Island area that are battling cancer and suffering financial hardship, okay, can go online and fill out an application, send it to us. We'll have that application vetted, or you can go through like a social service who already does the vetting for us, or like a hospice, and then the board, you know, decides how much and what we're going to provide them with in terms of funding. And we've been doing this now. We actually call it the Spinnaker Fund, and we're having, oh, by the way, Friday night, the night before the regatta, we're having the Spinnaker Soiree. So we're having Woolly Mammoth playing music. We've got some food. We may have an oyster bar, clam bar. You know, again, we'll have like the libations. And this is just specifically to benefit the Spinnaker Fund, in addition to the regatta, which will be the following day, which of course will also benefit the Spinnaker Fund. And what we've found is that when we get these thank you notes from the people that we've you know, sent checks to, they're just absolutely so grateful. You know, saying that they can have the heat turned back on. They can, you know, now put food in their pantry. They can buy their medicine. They can put, you know, whatever, when I say the heat, they'll pay their mortgage. You know, they provide us with a statement from their bank of their mortgage, and we can pay their mortgage for them and help them out like that. And that's the Spinnaker Fund, and that really, really hits to the core, all right? And you know the good that you're doing with that as opposed to the institutions. You know,
Yes,
not that there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with those institutions. We're lucky to have them.
And that's another thing, because what's great is we have awesome volunteers, and those volunteers donate their time. Like Friday night, even my daughter got her donating her time, my older one. So we have, so money's not going to actually pay people to, you know, kind of work these events. They are volunteers. So that way the money that is coming in is even more money that goes to help, goes back into the community to help our community. And again, it goes back to that personal touch. You know, this is, you know, we got to take care of our own. Not to say that, you know, we have other people out there that need to be taken care of, but sometimes it's right in your own backyard.
You see how we're touching bases with this, you know, with the integrated medicine, as Jamie, you know, talked about before, and the benefits from that as far as reducing stress modalities. You can do all of the integrated medicine, you can do all of the chemo, and you can do all of the radiation and everything else. If you have bills to pay that you can't pay, it's going to be hard for you to get a jump start on getting well, because it's just
that stress is there. That financial stress is a huge one. I mean, you don't even have to have a disease in the family to experience financial stress. But again, you know, when you have that disease on top of it and you're having to deal with that stress, like you said, you could get all the massages in the world and all the Reiki in the world, but that financial obligation's still there and it's still hanging over your head. And if they can get some relief there, it's going to make everything else flow a little bit easier, and then they can focus on not worrying about that bill, but focusing on their own health.
I have a family that I know right now that my grandchildren go to Mystic Middle School, and one of the families is going through a very tough time. She's still living with breast cancer, and she has 3 boys, and she suddenly found herself with no spousal support, and she, you know, we've all kind of pitched in, and we're trying to help her get back on her feet, and it's hard, you know, it's very, very hard. And there's just some wonderful people, including my daughter, who has just stepped right up, and she's helping so much. She's establishing, even just getting the kids to and from school. You know, getting food on their table, getting, you know, things that they need. I know I showed up one day with some groceries and Kleenex, toilet paper, you know, basics, you know, you don't even
that
think
we take
about
for granted.
that. I know.
Yeah. And then somebody else who's having to deal with other issues, the simple things in life that we take for granted, you know, the groceries and picking up the, you know, some of those necessities.
Well, not only that, but, you know, you walk in with groceries and then you find out they have one pot to cook in. So, you know, I mean, it's just things we don't think about. And there are just so many people who are in our community, and I say our greater community in our area. You know, it's not just Mystic and Stonington and Groton, and it's you know, it's quite a large area that we've got. A lot of people need help. And when we come back from the break, I want to talk a little bit more about that process of kind of talk them through how they can apply for a grant. Okay. And we're going to take a little break in just a couple of minutes here. But what I want you to do is I want you to keep that pen and paper handy, because we're going to be talking about a lot of different aspects here. We're going to be talking about if you know a family who is experiencing really, really tough times, and they are fighting hard and they're committed to survive and struggle, and you feel they just need a little bit of financial help just to get them started. You know, we'll talk about how you can, you know, this may be one route to help them. We're also going to be talking about, the children.
Sunshine Kids.
The Sunshine Kids. We're going to be explaining to you what that is in case you've probably heard of it, but you know, you may not know. You say, well, I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it is. We're going to talk about that.
Well, we have a lot of ground to cover.
We do have a lot of ground to cover. So I want you to hang around, and we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes, and we'll give you more information, okay?
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education. So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
And we're back. Yes, this is still from this corner where one person, Jamie Lee, her daughter's not feeling too well, so she won't be with us for the second half, the second segment. But we're still going to talk about the same subject matter, which is the upcoming event, which is Sales Up for Cancer. It's a regatta, a wellness expo, and there's a lot more to it. So Bob Davis is still with us, the founder and CEO, And you told us a little bit about the history, and let's talk about that grant situation first before we go to the regatta.
For the individuals, it's on our website, su4c.org, and it's an application, and you know, fill it out, and with the information that's required on the grant, and we'll do, you know, we'll be in touch, and like I said, there is a vetting process, and you know, we'll do whatever we can to help you. And then, of course, now the plea goes out to the people, our sponsors and donors. If you're hearing this for the first time, we need you because you help us help others, and you do make a difference.
Absolutely.
Believe me, you do make a difference.
Yeah. So, since you mentioned the donors, the sponsors, are you still in need of more of them?
Absolutely. We could never have enough sponsors. I have to shout out a few, okay, just for what it's worth. Holmgren Subaru has been absolutely tremendous to us, and as a result of them, we were sponsored by Subaru National, Subaru America, this year in the Share the Love campaign. And the financial rewards from that campaign and what Holmgren Subaru and Franklin Norwich Border did were absolutely tremendous. And I met with the people from Subaru when we had a check passing, and we're going to be doing it again in 2016. So that's really thrilling. Chelsea Groton Bank has been tremendous to us. Mystic Shipyard has been tremendous. Noank Village Boatyard. Merrill Lynch, the Dog Watch Cafe, where all of our friends hang, which I'm going later. Save me a spot at the bar. And again, we're blessed with some just wonderful, wonderful organizations and wonderful people in the community that have helped us out. And for being only 5 years old, I think we're making an impact and doing
Absolutely,
yeah.
And it sounds like it's growing. And one thing you want to keep in mind is we're not just asking you to come and participate. You could use volunteers too. You could always use more volunteers.
Always use volunteers, and to augment the rest of the board and all of the other volunteers. Somebody out there is going to like that expression. But we could always use volunteers, and we can always use you know, sailors. We're going to have a great regatta, a race out in the Sound. If you want, Marilyn, I could explain some of the schedule for this particular day. And,
I would love that. I would love that.
Shut me up and break down, and we'll you know, you can ask me questions. But as Jamie had said, it starts you know, around 10 o'clock, and the race. Let's see, at 10:30. We chartered the boat, the Argia, the schooner out of Mystic. We chartered that, and we load that up with the Sunshine Kids, and these are the kids that are battling cancer. Yes, and they sail down the Mystic River. We have a point boat and a VIP boat, and hopefully I'll have a surprise this year with who's going to do that for us. And they watch the start of the race. They only stay out there till I think it's like 12:30, 1:45 or something like that. Then they come back, and they're greeted by the pirates at Schooner's Wharf. Now, meantime, the race continues to go on, and the Wellness Expo is going on under the tent. When they come to Schooner's Wharf, they're greeted by the free men of the sea, or essentially the pirates from the seaport. So they greet them and arg, and the kids swashbuckling. And then everyone goes over to the Mystic Shipyard under the big tent. And once they're there, they're treated to lunch by Mystic Pizza. Mystic Pizza caters the lunch. They have ice cream provided to them by Drawbridge Ice Cream, you know, another good friends of ours. One of our board members, Julie, is a children's art director down at the Florence Griswold Museum. She provides canvases and smocks and paints for all of the children, and they paint. We have a band, a group that's put together by another good friend, Josie Davis, no relationship, and she has kids playing for kids. We have April, who's the balloon lady of Mystic, if anybody's been around and see the beautiful work she does. April Burnell,
yeah,
right, with
wonderful.
the balloons. I know I'm going to be leaving some things out. Like Jamie said, we have the hula hoops. This year we have a surprise. We have a couple of professional wrestlers
Oh my!
Yeah, that are going to be coming down and in their regalia and their costume or whatever like that, and play around with the kids. And there's more to it, and I know I'm leaving some, things out. So, like I said, the race is going on. When the race is over, about 3:30, 4 o'clock, the kids pretty much are leaving. Like we said, the Wellness Expo will continue to go on, and now we have basically the adults party, where we have Gosling Rum as a sponsor. We'll have a dark and stormy station. We have wine, we have beer, Rock and Soul Review plays the music, silent auctions. This year we have a balloon raffle, which is you buy a balloon, and when you pinch the balloon at a certain time, there's going to be a prize that falls out of the balloon, like a gift certificate to the dog watch, or a gift certificate to a restaurant, a massage, things like that. So we have merchandise, silent auctions, and that'll end probably around 10 o'clock, and that's the day.
Now, what about the regatta itself? Talk a little bit about that.
Right. It's an ECSA sanctioned race. That means it's Eastern Connecticut Sailing Association. So any sailor that participates in it, they're awarded points, and at the end of the year, there's a big banquet with Eastern Connecticut Sailing Association. Typically, we'll have 2, perhaps if we're lucky, we get 3 classes, and we have a spinnaker class, a cruising canvas class, and if we're lucky, we'll have a one design class. So I urge everyone to go on our website, and you can, we have yacht scoring, so you can, for the $50 fee to race, you get 4 tickets to the party. And in that 4 tickets, again, it's the open bar, it's barbecue, food, entertainment, hats, maybe a t-shirt, we'll see what we can do. And and then we also have the award ceremony. So we award the sailors the trophies for first, second, and third place, respectively, and that's it. Yeah.
Now, if people want to come, say, and see some of the Sunshine Kids, and then see some of the wellness, that is free of charge.
Free and open, free for anybody. Again, and the event itself on Saturday night starts around 5 o'clock. If you're not sailing and you haven't paid the $50 registration fee and get the 4 tickets, it's $25.
Oh.
$25 per person for, like I said, the barbecue, the bar, the dancing, and we have. Oh, I think we are going to have some dancers that are going to do some dancing shows this year as well. Some professional dancers. So we try. It's going to be a full-packed day.
You mean kind of like Dancing with the Stars or belly dancing?
No. Sort of like Dancing with the Stars.
Okay,
yeah, much more like Dancing with the Stars. Yeah. I mean, if I wasn't going there and I was sitting where you are right now, I'd make it my business to be there on Saturday.
Yeah, it sounds.
Spend the whole day.
It sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about volunteers, and you've been doing this for 5 years.
That's our 5th year.
Tell me how it's changed over these 5 years since you first started this.
We've gotten more recognition for what we do. Like I said, we've evolved with the Spinnaker Fund, where we're hitting people, more personally. Aside from the regatta, though, we have also it's become a tradition. We also do an art show, and I have to speak to that too. What we started was Canvases for a Cause, and this is run by one of our board members, a great guy, Russ Kramer. Okay, beautiful artist, beautiful man, and he's out of Mystic, and he assembles artists who donate their work. And typically we'd have like a little cocktail party. We'd leave the art up. People would come by, look at it, maybe buy something for the silent auction, and something off the wall, and that was it for one day. This year, we're fortunate, and he's also a sponsor of us. That's Tim Brown and the Inn at Mystic and the Harbor House. If you haven't been there, it's a great place to go. Top of the hill in downtown Mystic. He's giving the use of his restaurant for almost a month, where he's going to take down all of the artwork that's up in the restaurant, put all of our artwork up, and we're going to have a cocktail party, and this is going to be in mid-September, I believe. And so we'll have an opening night cocktail party, an invitation. Again, it's free, there's no charge, and that'll be you know, hors d'oeuvres, and I think it may be a cash bar this year, and then the art will stay up for a month. So
now,
people can go to the restaurant, see the art, and purchase the art through, and they'll contact us. So that's going to great, and I really appreciate Tim and you know, the board members who came up with the concept and are making this come together.
Yeah, I think this sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And the art is for sale.
Yes.
And
it's all nautical themed art. In other words, you're not going to get an art like you know, an apple and a pear together with a wine bottle.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's going to be
nautical themed.
All nautical themed art. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So this celebration that starts actually June 19th, the night before, with the Spinnaker Soiree. This is just going to continue on through the middle of September.
Yeah, I guess so. Now, yeah.
And it's all
we also have another one, too. We have a benefit night at Jonathan Edwards Winery on August 13th, which is a Thursday night. And Sales Up for Cancer receives all of the proceeds from the gate. And we're having green tea playing there that night. At the
I
winery.
thought you were going to drink green tea at a winery.
And green tea is one of the greatest. They won the Mohegan Sun Best Band in the Area Award contest.
Yeah, that contest.
Yeah. So and they're playing, and we're really, really excited about that because they're just great. And it's been and it's great that Jonathan Edwards has done this for us. This will be the second year with them, and I think we'll be repeating with them. I like them, and they like us, and you know, that's a good match.
And you know something, there's that impressed me when we were talking about the first half, and if you didn't catch it then, I'm going to refer to it again. That yes, he mentioned that you can apply for grants if you need help, but this is for cancer, right?
Correct. See, I have to say that one of the things that we're looking at as we go, you know, the growing pains about this grant system is we prefer to have people that are actually battling cancer present in the, you know, here and now, as opposed to, you know, we've had some applications that people are just, you know, they've been in remission for 10 years, but, you know, they can't find a job and they still have some, you know, pain that is associated perhaps as a result of the cancer and the surgery, you know, some years ago. You have to like sort of make certain decisions, and like again, our board has elected to make the decision that it has to be pretty much in the present tense, where you're going through your treatments and you're battling it, you know, now and struggling with it, and you know, we're here to help and make it a little easier, and you know, it's difficult. You know, I mean, I wish I was a Bill Gates. We try to help as many people as we can, but unfortunately, we're not, and I'm not.
and well, you have to draw the parameters. You know, you have to say, you know, this is what we can do.
Correct.
Because there are other organizations that can do other things, and you can't be all things to all people. So. And you need to keep within the guidelines of it's for cancer. You know, that Sales Up for Cancer, the for cancer part, you know, is
to help.
Is the important part.
Yeah.
So now you are a survivor.
Correct.
Big time.
Big time.
Big time.
Very big time.
Which is a wonderful thing to.
Well, I got to pinch myself every day. Yeah. But I just finished. I had everything kicked in with the leukemia, and I just went through a bout from September to March, and I just finished treatments for my leukemia in probably about the middle of March, you know, which wasn't so long ago, and my prognosis on that is good. I'll be on a maintenance program for a couple of years, but it's a small price to pay for, you know, to be so lucky as I am.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not familiar with chronic leukemia.
Correct.
And now you say...
It's right, as opposed to being acute.
Acute,
You know,
yes.
acute will slam you like here and now, and it's a predominant childhood, predominantly in children, acute leukemia. Mine was the same as chronic lymphocytic leukemia as opposed to acute. So it's a slower progression, usually affects men, you know, like over 50, you know, 55, you know, something like that. And but there's no cure for it. The most you can hope for is remission. And you know, maintenance program, but there's absolutely tremendous you know, medicines that are coming down the pike from you know, some of the big pharma companies, and making it a lot more easier to deal with, and life expectancies improve significantly as opposed to what it was you know, maybe 30, 40 years ago. And same thing with acute leukemia, you know, that the you know, the children have. Their survival rates have increased tremendously. Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's so great to hear that, you know, because you hope that the research is going to progress, even though it's in baby steps and slowly. It's, you know, it's a battle, continuous battle. But that makes this more near and dear to your heart, doesn't it?
Well,
I mean, combining your love of sailing and the fact that you can relate to people with cancer.
Well, unquestionably, the fact that, you know, I've had two, you know, well, and actually three. I had some skin cancer too, but we don't count that. And, but yeah, no, I mean, it brings it all home. But I think, Marilyn, that if, you know, I were to address a lot of people, and I want to give a shout out in a little bit after I say this, and, you know, and you go into a room with 100 people, and you say, you know, how many people in this room have been affected by cancer? Inevitably, 100 hands are going to go up because it touches everyone. You know, they have a relative, a loved one, a friend, and I mean, there's really no escaping it. I think probably the longer you live, your odds increase that you know, something like that will kick in. You know, the toxic environment we live in, and everything else. But this morning, I was fortunate enough. A good friend of ours and a volunteer, Josie. Hi, Josie. Is a wife of a lieutenant in the Navy at the sub base, and she sits on this organization called SOSA. And SOSA is the Submarine Officers Spouse Association. And they had a fundraiser and raised some money, and this morning presented me with a check. And I spoke to, it was a room full of women. I, you know, thought maybe there was women on the submarine. It might be one man there, but it was a room full of women. And of course, I thanked them and invited them to our event on Saturday. But it was just so moving, and I was so grateful, genuinely grateful, that an organization like this that typically helps vets and their families, you know, was willing to raise funds and help Sails Up for Cancer, and know because of how many people that are touched by the dreadful disease.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all touched in some way.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And congratulations to Josie and everyone that was there. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is was a little. I was pretty surprised by it, but you know, actually, I'm like really getting used to being surprised. But I'm also getting used to being disappointed too.
Well,
I mean, a lot of things that we count on, and a lot of people that we count on, sometimes, you know, let us down. But you know, like battling cancer, you can't throw in the towel. You just have to keep moving forward, and you know, have some values and a set of goals, and continue to realize that what you're doing is a great thing, especially when it comes down to helping other people, and you know, get through their battle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned veterans. We can't do enough for our veterans to help our veterans.
Right. Absolutely.
I want to say that because anybody that's raising money to help them, I have to congratulate and applaud. And because there's a lot of them that and we're pretty much touched by that too.
Correct.
You know, when you think about it, you know, everyone in my family, every one of the men in my family have been in the service, have been in the war. Everything from, gosh, you know, going way back to my maiden name was Wright. And there were 3 Wright brothers that fought side by side with William the Conqueror.
Wow.
Okay, that's how far back that I know of.
Wow.
Yeah.
William the Bloomin' Conqueror.
Oh, yeah, he was. And he was a very generous man to those who fought and helped him win and become King of England. He would give away estates. He would take them away from the families that they belonged to, which is really not a good thing, and then give them to his comrades, you know, in arms. And our family got 3 estates, and they still exist,
wow.
those 3 estates. Not that we're still tied to them. Yeah. But, and I can go back even further to Eric the Red. Eric the Red's brother, Eric the Forester, was, well, we were related to both, but directly to Eric the Forester, who was brother to Eric the Red, and who had 3 sons named Eric, Eric, and Eric, which is, you know, a long time ago. That's what they used to do. You know, it's
Eric, Eric, and Eric.
Eric, yeah. Eric, and Eric.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, we have been, all the men in our family have been in service, right up to my son, who was in the Navy and in the Persian Gulf.
God bless him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
thank him for his service.
Oh, you betcha.
Yeah.
You betcha. So, so we're trying to help people as much as we can. I know we've had quite a few organizations on our show that try to help people who are victims of abuse, who have Alzheimer's, who are caregivers to Alzheimer's patients, family members, autism. I mean, we're trying to introduce our audience and remind our audience, if they've already been introduced, to all the good work that is being done to help people. Yeah,
and I have to say on that, I think that our country, we get a lot of bad press, and we get a lot of smackdowns at times, but I think that the people in this country are probably some of the most generous people in the world when it comes to helping others. Whether it be people with cancer, people with AIDS, people with veterans of PTSD, and all of these organizations. And I think it's, kudos to the heritage of being here in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, mm-hmm. to make the contribution and to help your neighbor and get through when they're struggling, whether it be the floods, the earthquakes, the fires, the tornadoes, acts of nature like that. That's I think we should be proud of ourselves. It's a little flag waving here, huh?
Well, not only that, but grateful that we can, grateful that we have the freedom to make choices. Yeah. To help people.
Correct. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with having a little fun yourself when you're helping people. So I want to remind you what we started out talking about here, which is the upcoming event. If you haven't written it down, it's on June 20th. It's at the Mystic Shipyard. Everything is on the website, okay? There is a Spinnaker soiree the night before. The information about that is on the website.
Spinnaker soiree, by the way, is free. Okay, so you can come to that. I think we're making a suggested donation. We'll probably have a fish bowl, and if you have some drinks and some food or something like that, help us out a little bit, meet the cost on that. A lot of the stuff will be donated, but I expect a really, really big crowd. Okay, knock on wood, we'll have great weather for both the soiree and the regatta and the mm-hmm. Sunshine Kids, and I just wondered if with all of some pharmaceuticals, sometimes my memory lapses. I know I'm forgetting a few things, and forgetting to mention.
That.
I want to shout out my board. I'll miss people, but I know Courtney Moore is our vice president. She's been absolutely tremendous. I said Russ Kramer, Shannon Cavanaugh, she's our treasurer. By the way, also too, Sales Up for Cancer, we have no overhead except some small office costs, you know, copying, printing, things like that, and we have no salaries. You know, nobody, you know, everybody does this on a volunteer basis. It's not like we have, you know, people making six figures that are, you know, associated with some of the bigger organizations. This is right here, local, in your community. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't, you know, talk about my lovely wife, my Karen, who's just, you know, stood by me through all of this. And that's, they're, again, if I can, Marilyn, just, they're the unsung heroes behind, because they want to help you so much get through the disease and get through your illness. And sometimes it's hard to communicate to them what you really need, maybe. And you might need to be alone, and they want to help. But I know my wife stood by my side, connected at the hip, and I don't know what I'd do without her. And she's just a really remarkable woman. And God bless myself, and you know, we have each other. You know, it's very, very important. Yeah, very important to have your team, your support team.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah. And the additional support team is people like yourself who hold events like this, and also the Wellness Expo people. Yeah. You know, they offer their services to you. If you want to come and just experience the Wellness Expo, it's well worth it because you'll get samples of what they do. I know there's going to be an acupuncturist there, or two. And massage. And you'll get some sample massage, even a little bit. Makes you feel really good. And
if you haven't been down to the shipyard, it's actually beautiful. I mean, it's not actually, but it is beautiful. And you can walk around, see the boats in the water if it's a nice day, and you know, just sit back, relax, mingle, and you know, have a cocktail, have a smoothie. Whatever, bring the kids down. And I think it's also too, it might be, you know, like when I was down with the Navy this morning, and I mentioned to some of the women there to bring their children, because the events that we have are for basically the Sunshine Kids, but I think it works well in terms of other, you know, 10-year-olds, seeing a 10-year-old that's ridden with cancer. Mm-hmm. And you know, what that's all about, and ask his parents questions about that kind of thing. I think it's important for other children to understand really how lucky they are and that they're not like that. And these kids make it. These kids are beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
So bring your kids too, okay?
Right.
And they'll make some new friends. This has been wonderful, Bob.
Well,
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure. I really appreciate this. It's a great format to you know, express, like you said, how we can help each other,
Absolutely.
You know, out here. You know,
and we have a whole hour to do that, which is a wonderful thing. And I want to thank Jamie too for being on, and we'll have her on again sometime soon. In the meantime, I always like to finish with a quote. And as I was thinking about hope, you know, when you see people with cancer, especially children, you know, your heart is touched so deeply and you have hope. I hope they're going to be okay. So I was thinking about a quote from Dale Carnegie, who said, "Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept trying when there seemed to be no hope at all." When you were talking about don't throw the towel in, just keep going, keep your hope up. And no matter what your situation is, keep your hope up, okay? And have a wonderful time coming to this event. I'm going to be there. I'll look for you, okay? And remember, we'll have another wonderful show for you next time, so make sure to come back and join us then, okay? Thank you for joining us tonight.